shown how that happened? So, yeah, so I wanted to talk about the action scenes and the quick shots that people have complained about, and people were saying like I want to basically say from that's leading to rest, basically kind of they putting all these rumors to rest that are lies. I say, I mean, I will say I would want the more common one, the movie, the new one from 2021, to be longer, but that's because of how much I enjoyed it. I was that invested in it. This movie tells a movie about it tells a story about revenge and identity and also family and that's what the focus on a lot. And I notice how this movie does often more than I think people realize that this movie blurs the line between good and evil, between a bad person and a good person, at least for the main characters that we focus on, like Kung Lao, Luke Cage, and others that besides Ko Young and Sonya Blaze. Basically, anyone who fights and who's a fan of the bad guys, and basically anyone in the film who's a bad guy or a good guy that's part of the Mortal Kombat from this movie is they kind of do that a lot. As some they don't often always do it, but more or less they do that. Like blur the lines between good person and a bad person, so which makes it interesting, you know. Hang on, we're gonna see this in the next video. There's only a matter of seconds left for this one. So, yeah, there's gonna be at least part 2 videos to this, and my camera can only record up to 29 minutes and 50 something seconds. I think this is going to be part 2. So the movie opens up with Scorpion as Hanzo before he becomes Scorpion, before Biham has become Sub-Zero. And Scorpion is spending time with his family, fetching water, and this is when he still goes by the name Hanzo. And Hanzo's kid goes on to check on his baby sister, and Hanzo goes to fetch water for his family, and something goes wrong. Everyone in his village start to die after attack by some army. It is later revealed the army's led by Beham, who's leading the army. Beham or Beham, I'm trying to say his name. It's just Beham. Beham, I believe, who does become Sub-Zero after a time jump. And, so, his wife and his son hide the baby, Hanzo's youngest child in the floor, and then they go to get their. Looks like they're going to get Hanzo to help to protect to protect them, but Beham comes just when they're about to leave the place after they hit the baby. Okay, so they die along with the rest of the village. Of Hanzo's village, of everyone in his village, by army, and also led by this guy called Beham. He finds out that his family's frozen to death. His wife and his oldest kid is frozen to death by Beham. He knows who did it because a lot of people in this movie on both good and bad side have these powers. Beham can freeze things, and it kind of looks like he just discovered his power. Just how the scene plays out, because he seems like he's shocked when he sees ice coming off of his hand, and confused, like, wait a minute, that's new. Like he is like that kind of look. So then looks like he instantly learns to control, and then he just freezes his family. So Hanzo goes on, kills everybody in his army, of Beham's army. After he throws the sword at a Beham person in his army, he picks up this garner spear, and he attaches it to rope, and that will become his trademark weapon in this movie. That's how he gets his trademark weapon, like in the game. So and he swings it and pulls people towards him, and punches them, and just a bunch of crazy shit is happening. He's whipping their asses. And you can tell that, and there's a pretty cool fight scene. Then he meets up with Beham, that reveals himself, and waiting for Hanzo to come to him so he can kill him, and after fighting him. Yeah. Hanzo is not easy to kill, even though he did end up getting killed by Beham. But it took quite a bit to kill him, and when he's clean to life after Beham leaves, is long gone after he loses the fight. He's clean to life, and he hears his youngest child crying, his baby girl crying, and he's like crawling and as clean to life and crawling to his kid. Is really beautiful scene. You do really feel for the guy. You really want him to make it, but he just doesn't make it. And this ends up disintegrating after passing away to somewhere, obviously. And then this serious figure who is later to reveal, this guy called Raven, who is a god, takes the baby away from the slaughter place and just disappears. Then we jump to Cole Young, who is preparing for a fight with his trainer, who is his daughter, who's been training him and giving him tips on winning the fight. He ends up losing the boxing cage match fight. He's an FAM fighter, and he loses badly. And it seems this one he's got the hang of it. He just instantly starts losing, and he loses badly. He taps out, and this one is like he doesn't listen to this kid of controlling the fight, telling him to control. He just doesn't know how to control fights anymore, and he taps out like a pussy. So fight's over. He loses, and he runs into this guy called Jack, and it seems like he acts like he's known him, and so Cole asks if we haven't met before, do we know each other at all? And he says, no, I'm just a fan of your fighting skills from back in the day, and Cole said he was a different person, a different fighter back then. Basically saying he's not the fighter that he used to be. And so he goes to get ice. He meets up with his wife and gets ice cream and food with his family. For some reason, Jack's following him around and talking to someone over the phone in this earpiece phone, saying he's with his family, and he's at his location, and he sees he's with his family. So and Byham has become this. Byham says to this. Says to the this guy on the throne. I forget what his name is. What he said his name is. He says Byham is dead. I am Sub-Zero now. He's been dead for years. Byham now. It has been. I am now Sub-Zero, he says. And he goes after Cole and his family. Jack saves Cole and his family, and he explains what's going on. Is the reason why that Sub-Zero's trying to kill him, because he is his dragon mocking. Turns out it's not a mocking, means he's been chosen to fight. And Cole says it's bullshit because he's not the fighter he used to be. And Jack agrees with him. And Jack takes on Sub-Zero on his own, even though Cole offers to, instead it would be a better chance taking on 2-on-1 with Sub-Zero and fighting him together. Jack turns down the offer because he doesn't want his family to end up in a morgue. And so he drives away, Cole does, while Jack gets his arm ripped off brutally by Sub-Zero, and his gets ass handed to him, and it looks like and Sub-Zero leaves him left for dead after suffering a serious bad fall. And yeah, so and then we cut to Cole and saying that he needs to find this girl, Jack's friend, called Sonya Blades. And because they're looking for anyone with this dragon mark, and Cole and Jack were the ones that had it, and they're trying to kill everyone for some reason, anyone who has that dragon mark, and to kill them. So he finds Sonya Blades and finds her location, runs into Sonya after she whips his ass, and she shows her the dragon mark because she asked him. to prove that to prove so she knows who he is. So I'll explain the whole. We don't get like more information on what's going on. Is there's this tournament, ancient tournament called Mortal Kombat that will whoever wins the tournament from each realm will whoever wins the tournament from this from whoever fights those who fight for Earth. Earth gets to live still and keep on getting living. It does get dictate and conquer and destroy. Basically, all ends of all days for us if anyone from Earth loses. So Cole believes it, except for the part that the term is called Mortal Kombat, and since that's only made that last part out because she spelled it wrong. Saying it's all spelled wrong, Mortal Kombat, because combat spelled with K instead of a C, like usually, because I guess it's usually supposed to C in in the beginning of the sentence. So and combat's like not spelled right, spelled wrong in Cole's eyes. So so he said this is serious, and by the way, all the other competition is that have that marking, that drag marking, are all dead. So and then we run in. Then it turns out Sony is keeping someone against his will, all chained up and stuff. He goes by the name Kano, and he's a bounty hunter, and basically he's like, and he's very funny in that and that really is he. I'm lost as far as how good he is as this guy is as Kano, okay? And Sony chained him up because he slit a guy's throat that had the dragon mark, and he ended up getting it. So this reptile thing attacks Cole and Sonya Blades, and Kano breaks free with the acid saliva from this reptile thing. Who, believe it or not, in the game, his name is actually Reptile. Kano kills Reptile by ripping out his heart. And he do line says, Kano wins. Fucking beauty. And he just kisses the heart and holds the heart, and then it kind of looks like he's about to kiss it. This is so funny and awesome. It's such a badass moment it was. Kano decides to bail on them, even though he's the one that knows the location of where they need to go, where this temple is. Because he's pissed at Sonya because he can tell that she threw a knife at him in his leg on purpose. At Kano's leg. And the thing kind of reptile like left a huge scratch on his face, on his eye, and almost clawed out his eye. And it's so obvious that he got hurt on the face, and but he says sarcastically, "Luckily for me, you can hardly notice it." The scratch on his face from Reptile. He says sarcastically to Sonya, so Sonya's like less believe because he's makes some fair judgment calls about Sonya's character, makes some fair points of why he wants to, Sonya nothing. Then Sonya bluffs, as in tells a bit of a fib about she can afford him with $2,000, and Kano ups it and says that $3,000 is his final offer. And she says done. Sonya says the deal, and she actually says for Kano that he's going to kill her if he finds out she's lying about it and full of shit, and not going to pay him at all in the end. And turns out she is, because she comes clean to call when Kano's in the piece of shit home that's this little old ass RV thing from way back in the day, and apparently she's lived there her whole life. So they take a plane from someone that Kano knows, and they parachute into the desert, and Kano is lost because he doesn't know how to read a compass while he's stranded in the desert. So he has the compass stolen from him from Cole, and Kano sees what's going on with Sonya, why she hates him so much, because she's pissed that she doesn't get the mic, and all she needs to do is kill him. And Kano easily points it out that you can just kill me, you don't want it so bad, you know? So she decides to go toe-to-toe and wins the fight with Kano, and this doesn't go through, and it's because she thinks he's not worth it, of not worth getting the dragon marking from Kano. Then they run into Liu Kang, who throws fire at them. And says that, I'm not your enemy. And he says his name's Liu Kang, and turns out how he does it is because it has something to do with the marking, because the marking of the dragon gives you superpowers. So Liu Kang brings them to Raiden sees these warriors as joke because they are kind of jokes because he's so disappointed that he has only 2 people to work with, and the third one doesn't have a mark of a dragon, so it's basically useless to him, and he can't train her to fight off these people. So yeah, Sonya is useless because she doesn't have a dragon marking. Like, unlike Kano, Kung Lao, who makes who returns when they're under attack, and backs Liu Kang up to fight with him. Who is Liu Kang's best friend, obviously. That's how they talk to each other. And that's nothing I really like. I love how consistently I feel attached to these characters, and unlike the original Mortal Kombat movie. And the sequel to the original Kombat movie that was called Mortal Kombat, okay? Same title was this one, okay? But from a completely different decade. So, new one's from 2020 decades, and the other one's from the 90 decades. Later mid-90s, I think. Or early 90s. Which is either 1995 or 1992, I think. Anyway, so, yeah, they're ready to fight, and Sonya and Kano and Cole, who are the only 2 members that Raven has to work with, basically have the dragon marking, and Sony doesn't, so, she's not going to get any superpowers. Unless she kills someone with it, and succeeds. So, this Raven puts up this force field, and powers this machine that puts up a force field to keep the bad guys out from killing more competitions. After the bad guys have pointed out that Raven and the other guys were too lazy to stop him, even though they were very more than powerful enough. From the others bad guys eliminating the competition before the Mortal Kombat match even begins again. So they're basically cheating ahead of schedule, and eliminating the competition is what they are doing, which makes sense. I mean, you know, it's life or death. So match when you lose your life or you lose. So no matter what. So yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so Raven puts his force field up and is powered by this machine, and then gets to train these two new guys, Kano and Kong and young not Kong Lao, training all